seduce me?
Does Yiddish not seduce you?
Does not.
Are you not
using that as any kind of?
Does Yiddish not turn you on and make you incredibly moist?
Attempt?
God, I was always under the
fail.
impression that Yiddish always just gets women right in the mood, like really Jewy kind of Yiddish. No?
Here to tell you, not happening.
We're in a new space today.
Can you tell?
We're trying out a new space today, so let us know what you guys think about that. I'm curious.
Hi.
Hey, sweetheart. So we had a bit of a false start. We have a couple of things. First of all, there is some big news that we're not ready to tell you about because we don't want to get the wording wrong. So we're not going to tell you about that yet. But in the next podcast, I think we'll be able to have...
Even though it's just one word.
We'll be able to tell you about it. But we actually had a few false starts on the podcast, mainly because Jenna and I had a podcast scheduled for really early in the morning the other day. And we got into such a big fight that we actually had to like...
At 2:15 in the morning?
2:15, call the camera guy.
He texted me.
Because
I was sleeping in another room. Because that's how the night ended.
It was really bad.
Saying, I canceled the podcast.
Yeah, I canceled it at like 2:15 or 3 o'clock in the morning. That's how bad of a... Like, I was like, there's no fucking way that I can rally in this kind of mood. No, and then it got worse. I had decided to use the thing we had fought about in the podcast. And I made notes for myself. All right, at least we'll take this incredibly awful fucking fight, and I'll just stick it in the podcast. So I said to Jenna, she was like, "Can we?"
We hadn't talked about it, and I was like, "Can we please talk about this?"
And I said, "I don't want to talk about it. I want to just put it in the podcast because I knew if we talked about it outside of the podcast, it would get way too fucking deep. And I knew that in the podcast, Jenna would be on her best behavior, and it wouldn't go so deep." So I said, let's not talk about it. And Jenna said, no, we got to talk about it.
There's no fucking way I can do a podcast when you and I aren't even talking. Like, so we're like hating each other and like not talking, and we're going to sit down and do a podcast?
I thought if I would just say...
I would murder you on camera. And I would never be able to get out of the murder because it would have been caught on tape.
I thought if I just prompted you and I was like, so why don't you tell us about what happened with our dog at our friend's house? I thought that would be enough of a prompt for us to have a little podcast discussion, because here's the thing.
And you would have seen a side of me that you don't want.
Do you know what Jenna's exact words were? If I talk about it, I'll cry. That's what she said. She said, I'll cry. If I talk about it, if I don't talk about it first, I'll cry. So I was like, oh, fuck. All right, well, that's not going to be good.
But see, what you're missing is he thinks that it's just this one little incident about a fucking dog at our friend's house. And what he's missing is the fact that I was under so much stress because he was being an asshole that it set me up to be overly stressed for this incident that happened at our friend's house.
You see... Jenna just thinks
backstory.
You see, Jenna just thinks that it's just about the fucking dog at our friend's house. But what she doesn't understand is that I was under such incredible stress because of the amount of times my wife has put me in pickles in my life in the last 25 years that it wasn't just the one incident. So
it wouldn't be a pickle if you didn't care so much about what people think.
Oh, really? About what people think?
Certain friends.
Okay, so listen. Here's the thing. We have two friends. Let me just give a little bit of backstory. We have two friends of ours. They're very good friends. We've known them for a long time, and they're both very, very successful, and I'm trying to get the words. One of them watches the podcast. The other one doesn't, but one of them watches the podcast. So
hi.
Okay, so here's what happened. So many years ago, this family they're one of those families that has like...
Yeah, what do you want to say about them?
I'm gonna say, like, they have a lot of success, and they do it like with 3 kids and business and social charity and everything. They seem to just have that family that just does it with grace. Like their marriage, their kids.
The grace part.
They just seem to have
they
this...
never seem stressed out. They're never overwhelmed. They never make mistakes.
Listen.
They never are kerfuffly.
Okay. I mean, you have to understand, like,
they have their own fucking plane. If I had my own fucking plane you were like piloting it and flying us around like they do, I wouldn't be as kerfuffly either.
The chicken or the egg? The chicken or the... Maybe he has his own plane because the wife lets him actually be a man. So anyway, this family they're good friends, and many years ago they just seemed to like... I remember here. This is a setup. I remember once we were talking about like the joke of couples, how one loses the wife loses the sex drive after a while, and how the husband is always trying to talk the wife. And they looked at us like, and they said, no, we both have a really strong sex drive, exactly the same. And they've been together for as long as we have. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's just me. And that's just Jenna. That's completely not. Okay, so that was one of and then.
Keeping up with the Joneses?
No, you are just as guilty of this as I am. But maybe not with this couple, but the same thing. So listen, they invited us to their chateau in the snow many years ago, a few years back. And me, Jenna, and the 2 kids are at their house, and there's other people there, and they've got their 3 kids, and other people have their 3 kids, and it's a whole big party. So immediately, I get altitude sickness. I'm bedridden.
Both husbands there are billionaires.
And they're both quite younger than me. So there's that, but that's not really important. But I'm so thank you for bringing that up.
It's an undercurrent.
No, thank you
it's
for
an undercurrent on why the wives are so relaxed.
Thank you for bringing that up. I so appreciate that. That helps clarify
the
for the
wives
audience.
were sitting around talking about the houses that they have and design, and they were comparing design notes on what they're doing on all of their second and third houses, because with their husband's money.
So I get altitude sickness immediately.
Which he thinks is the flu.
I thought it was the flu.
So he's like in bed, and I'm with the 2 kids, and he's like...
Now, let me state, when the occurrence occurred, I was better because I was in the living room when this happened. So here's what happened. Our youngest son fell asleep on Jenna's lap in a very fancy, very nice leather chair. This was a few years ago. Our youngest son was quite a little man back then. And he fell asleep in Jenna's arms. Jenna set him down on the chair, and he peed everywhere, all over the fancy leather chair. And I was a little annoyed because I was like, we're at our friend's house. This is a very nice home. We know that the young one back then, when he was younger, would pee when he sleeps. Put a fucking diaper on him.
I didn't set him down. No, here's the thing. He was in my arms.
But then you set him down. You block that out every time.
I would have put a diaper on him if I had set him down.
You did. Even the family will attest. He was asleep in the couch. You would set him down.
On the chair, you mean?
On the chair. It was like a sofa couch. You would set him down, and he peed. It was a chair, and he peed everywhere. So
while he was sleeping.
While he was sleeping, and so it was a bit of a thing.
I felt like a single mother that trip because you were in bed.
I wasn't in bed, Jenna.
Yeah, you had been.
I had been, but I wasn't in bed. I was already out when that happened. I was out and about I did a whole pancake breakfast for the kids or a spaghetti dinner, something like that. I was out and about by then because I realized it wasn't the flu, it was fucking altitude sickness, and I was like, get over it, Bodhi. So your head hurts. So I was out by then. Now, so it was a bit of a thing, and Jenna had to spend a lot of time working on the pee in the chair, and I understood, but I was a little annoyed, like, why don't you put a diaper on him? And the wife was a little annoyed about, like, that's a fucking nice chair, and put a diaper on your kid. Okay, so here's what happened. Then then there was a 4th of July party that they didn't invite us to, and all of our friends went, and I called her up, and I was like, hey, why didn't I go to the 4th of July party? And she was like, well, to be totally honest with you, me and my husband were still annoyed about your kid peeing on our couch, and you being sick, and that it was just like we invited you up there, and it was just kind of a bummer.
We were high maintenance.
And listen, we were high maintenance. We were a high maintenance couple.
Have you noticed?
There's no fucking getting around it.
I think they figured that out.
We are a fucking high maintenance couple. And of the high maintenance, I'm even more high maintenance than Jenna. But Jenna has her own high maintenance. She maybe has a lot of grace, but she's fucking high maintenance. So listen. So get this, guys. I want you to follow the logic on this. So it's important that you really get the logic. So this family, who we love and who there are our friends, didn't invite us anywhere for a while because of what occurred. So finally, last week, we were invited to their house for a barbecue. And it was, and I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. Like, I guess everything is okay now. So I had a rehearsal for a charity event I'm doing, and I couldn't go. Jenna brought the 2 boys and the dog. Just so this is really clear, invited to their house for the first time in many years, and Jenna brought the 2 boys and the dog. So I finished my rehearsal for this charity event I'm doing, and I called up Jenna, and I was like, how did it go? And this is Jenna. Yeah. Anyway, I was like, what does that mean? How'd it go? She's like, yeah, just when you come and pick up the kids. I was like, whoa, wait, what's happening? She's like, yeah, I'll explain it to you later. Click, hangs up. So I'm like, oh my fucking God. Oh my God, Jenna Elfman, what is happening? So I meet her somewhere with the kids.
I was getting my hair done.
I meet her at the hair salon with the kids. And in between that, she tried to send me a text with some big explanation about what had happened. And I said...
No, it was not in between that.
All right.
You came to the hair salon. You walk in. I said, so here's what happened. So Rocco went in. He goes, I don't want to hear it.
That's not quite right. I was nicer. I said, you know what? I don't want to hear it. Just tell me when there's a solution. And I took the kids.
No, it had a lot more edge in it.
I said,
like, you know what? I don't want to hear it.
I said, I don't want to hear it. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, no.
Ha ha.
You took the kids down the street for lunch. And then I texted you. I said, don't automatically judge me before you hear the whole story.
Remember, first time invited back to their house.
Which I didn't know. I didn't know that we hadn't been invited because of that incident. I had no idea. So I didn't know that backstory and that there was all this meaning on them inviting us and that it was this significant re-entry into their friendship.
No.
If I had known that, I wouldn't have
No, they've been our friends ever since. We just hadn't been invited to any parties because we're high maintenance, but they're still our friends. Jen, do you want to tell everybody now what happened? Maybe now's the time I'll set the mic down and sip on my tea. And now that the audience has a setup,
for a second?
I'll try. It's hard.
You'll see when you edit. So I thought they have a house that has big open doors that open out into a big expansive lawn, and it's a very in and out kind of modern, beautiful home. And our dog does not shed, and he's totally potty trained. So
that's true. He is potty trained.
Right. And he's super chill. You can bring him anywhere. So I had quite a big week and was really exhausted. I'd been doing 16-hour days on something and was tired. He had been, I'm just giving you some backstory, very insensitive and very critical all week.
Okay.
You cop to that.
Okay, cop to that. All right. Okay.
Like you said, this is very oppressive. I've been very oppressive to you.
Very oppressive. Agreed.
So
okay.
That was happening underneath the surface. So I was
I'll agree to that.
Run down.
She was run down. I know. I'm agreeing. I'm looking at it, the whole thing of what happened from a different point of view now. Actually, see, the podcast helps me kind of not be such a dick because I think about what other people are gonna look at this like. So now I actually I kind of look at an exterior point of view, and I actually see maybe the mistake that occurred may have been the result of a lot of undue pressure on you that week. Okay. But I want the audience to hear the story because it's important.
So I'm yeah, I'll take the kids to the thing with the dog. I'm bring Rocco. Let's bring Rocco so he's not home alone all day. And it's a very in-out house. He doesn't pee. He's trustworthy. Cool. He's not going to shed. He's not going to bite anybody. Seems you bring him everywhere. I thought, if I was Bodhi would bring him. That's actually what I thought. I thought if Bodhi was going, yeah, Bodhi bring him. All right, I'll bring him. So I go, and he's running around. They have a little white dog that looks just similar to Rocco. And then her sister came with another little white dog. So there's 3 little white fluffy dogs running around. I'm in the middle of talking to a friend of mine. We're engaged in a real conversation. The kids are playing over there. And I hear, Jenna. Huh? What? And I turn around. Jenna. Yeah? And they're behind me going. I go, oh, what's up? And they're like, shh. I'm like, okay. What?
She's going to watch this. You better be a little gracious with her, how you...
No, I'm just saying. I was
okay.
That's what happened.
Okay.
They told me to shush. So I didn't understand. I was confused why I had to shush on going, yeah? I went, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, then they take me back into the guest room. They said Rocco peed on the rug, on the carpet. I was like, well, how do you know it's Rocco? Rocco's totally housebroken. How do you know it wasn't your sister's dog?
Fair question.
Because there's 3 random white dogs running around. And she said, I saw him go in there when you guys arrived. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right, I guess it was my dog. So I proceed to totally help clean it up. And so we're scrubbing and doing things, me and my friend. And but I was a little embarrassed because I saw that it had annoyed the girl owner of the house, our friend. And I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed that my dog had peed
was the second time that an Elfman or Elfman adjacent had peed on something important.
Kids and animals, they'll fuck you up every time.
Fucking fuck you up every time.
And then I was like embarrassed that I had felt chastised in front of my friends, like a me. And I normally probably could have handled it really well, but I was exhausted and had been under pressure from him and just like had no buffer whatsoever. So then I handled the dog pee, and now that was 15 minutes, and that was the 15 minutes I was going to use to get the kids because they had been swimming, out of the pool, dried off, and off to my hair appointment. So now I'm 15 minutes late to the hair appointment, and I have to get the kids out of the pool and dried off and dressed, unless I can convince them to stay with all of our friends who will watch them until you arrive. One of them was willing for that, and the other one became very unwilling and started having a crying, screaming fit about it.
So
now I'm like, okay, fine, then let's get you dressed. Let's draw you up. Come on. I don't have time to negotiate about this. Get out of the pool. And I'm like, I'm completely like having just like one of those, like you're raw. I was raw. And my little guy's like, and he's just screaming. We're in the laundry room, like trying to get him dressed off the pool area, and just screaming. My friend poked her head in. It's like their housekeeper was like, "Do you need help?" I'm like, like, "Yeah, stranger, can you help get my kid dressed?" Like they would make him scream even more. My friend poked her head in. "Can I help?" I'm like, "No." And he's screaming and screaming. I'm late. I've been under pressure. I've had
the dog
peed on the rug, and I'm now tearing up. I'm now
big party with lots of people.
Tearing. I'm like crying. And I'm just trying to hide it. I'm like doing like wiping while I'm tying the shoes so my kid doesn't see me crying. I'm just completely overwhelmed, overtired, overstressed. And I'm like, put on my sunglasses. I walk out. I'm just
You're trying to make like a clean exit.
Total clean exit. And then the husband, he's like, "Jenna, it's totally fine."
He's trying to be gracious about
it. Like, don't worry about the dog thing. And you know when you're like trying not to cry and someone's nice to you,
accidentally
like,
made it worse. Yeah.
And everyone was in the kitchen right there as I was walking out. They hadn't gone like out to the backyard.
It's almost like
everyone was
almost
there
like do like a shaming, like we're all okay with what happened today, Jenna.
Yeah, and they're like in a semicircle, like looking at me as if they were all waiting for
I'm
me to
surprised
come
they didn't
out.
have like the Truman Show, like a monitor of your life behind you as it was. We're all okay with this, Jenna. Behind the monitor is the first instance of the kid peeing on our couch, and then we'll cut to the dog peeing on our carpet, but we're all okay with it.
And so they're all standing around looking at me, and they're my friends. So I'm, with your friends, you're safe to be who you are and have your emotions and have your stress. And all my friends, I'm totally fine having that. Except it was the hey thing. I had felt shamed. So I didn't feel like they were like all my friends in that moment. And I was embarrassed about the screaming kid and the peeing dog. And I just felt like a mess. And I was embarrassed. And I'd been pulled away from talking to like my friend. So, and I just wanted to get the fuck out of there. And then I felt I get out. I'm bringing the kid who's still crying. Got my sunglasses on. I'm like, I'm so late. I gotta go. I'm so late. I gotta go. Like red nose, like crying, like kind of puffy lips. Like, and he's like, "Jenna, it's totally fine." I'm like, I gotta go. I'm like so late. And I just like rude. Didn't even say thank you for having us because I didn't even.
She couldn't keep the tears in.
Stayed to say, I'm so late. Thank you so much. Bye. I would be like, like it would have gone into full blown.
So
I'm screaming, "Get a big dog. My husband's a dick. I'm tired of him.
My husband's such a dick." So you know what's interesting about this story is that as I hear it and as the people hear
I cried the entire way on the 405 to my hair salon. The whole way.
So this is interesting because as you look at the whole thing as like one big circle of pie of life.
Did you see that you came first?
Hang on, I'm talking.
To each incident, you with your shit came before.
I didn't because I got altitude sickness, didn't put undue stress on you that your kid.
Drama. You were like, I think I'm gonna go home. No, you were talking about going home.
Because I was sick.
Like, I think I'm gonna go.
Because I was sick.
Like,
I didn't want to
be there with the kids in Utah.
I didn't want to be there sick. I thought that sucks, but it was altitude sickness. I didn't have the flu. But here's the thing: it's interesting that they both stories. When you look at it, there's rightnesses from both. Like. It is true that, like, I was annoyed because the last time we were invited, you let the kid pee everywhere, and this time you let the dog pee. So that has some rightnesses, and at the same time, you have some rightnesses because...
I let the dog pee? I didn't see what the fucking dog did.
Do you know what the first thing I thought of when you said, I'm bringing the boys and the dog? The very first thing I thought of was, don't bring the fucking dog to their house.
Why did you say something?
Because it was one of those 100th of a second fleeting moments as I was running out to the charity rehearsal. It was like, but I went, I wouldn't bring it, but I went, she's on it. So they both...
Apparently not.
Yeah, well. Anyway, one of the funny things is what happened? You hurt your...
I banged my head and I popped a blood vessel.
When was that?
When I was telling the story just now.
Really?
Ow.
I'm sorry. did I cause that too?
No. I was trying to see if I could find a way it was your fault, but I couldn't.
But somewhere deep inside, there is some... that somehow I'm
the fact
behind
that I was acting the story out and you are... No, I'm just kidding. No, I got nothing.
Okay.
Other than you should trim your mustache a little bit because it's starting to hang over your lip too much.
It's for the charity event. I want it long and bushy. I saw the owner of the house, the wife, the next day coincidentally, and we had a good long talk and everything was fine, but we didn't talk about the dog peeing or the kid peeing or anything else. But I did want to say this now that
I called to apologize.
Yeah, Jenna fixed everything. I said, I don't want to fucking hear about it. Just fix it. And she sent everybody a very humorous text, and everybody responded, and it was all fine. But I do want to say now that we're in the confidence of our home with just them watching on the podcast, there is a chance that our dog wasn't the culprit. I know their dog didn't do it, but it could have been the sister's dog. Because
it doesn't. When I suggested that didn't seem like it was a possibility at all.
I have a feeling
their reaction.
I have a feeling
the dog's there all the time, and they're like, "No, that dog would never pee in our house."
Okay, so here's the thing:
Maybe.
if that dog is there all the time and never pees, then I would say it's probably our dog.
Yeah.
If that dog was arriving for maybe the first or second time, as our dog was there for the first time, then it could have gone either way. Because our dog is fucking house trained. Our dog is house trained. So we bring our dog everywhere, and our dog never pees. So I just want to say now that we're in the safety of our home and everything is behind us, that there's a chance that our fucking dog didn't even pee.
So hey A, if you're watching,
hey A,
I'll let you guys talk it.
Could have been your fucking sister-in-law. Just saying. I mean, do you know? Can I tell you guys honestly? I swear to God, on my life, I had the thought.
Oh yeah, I said her sister. It's her sister-in-law.
I swear that I had the thought of wanting the pee analyzed. Like I was like, is there a way to because this is such like
that's the shit you get into with our friends. You
no,
get into
because I was like, I don't know, because I was like, that's a
now
lot.
Jury, I've got some witnesses and I've got some proof. He gets into like
there's a side of me that's a Jewy lawyer that I was like, listen, I've had the carpet sample analyzed and it turns out it's from what kind of dog did she have?
I don't know.
It's from that dog. We've analyzed the urine and it's not our dog now. But I decided to just let it go. I figured, all right, it's probably our dog since...
And when I called to apologize, she goes, it's fine. I was annoyed at first, but it's fine. I just thought it was funny that both occasions was some kind of Elfman pee. And at first, I was like,
She gave it to you a little bit on that, huh?
I was like,
I love that she watches this podcast and is going to be mixed between laughter
we'll never
and annoyed.
get the double date that we talked about on text.
Right.
But anyway.
And
then I sent a text and I said, so I'm glad the stain came out. Just for good measure, though, I'm going to make sure I pee my pants in your car.
I would love nothing more than to have a double date with them and to do one of those things where
I should spill my water.
I'm sure
I'll space out and knock over my ice.
I'd love to just like pee on the joke of like, oh, no, it's not even my fault. Like, it's not, I have a urination tract infection.
You're like, I'm diabetic.
I pee all the time. Just to see if I could pull off, like, how many times can we pee on something of theirs and still keep the friendship going? Like,
or I have, like, a urine sample because I'm doing some, like, health test, and I happen to bring it with me on our double date, and it happens to spill in their car.
It would be funny to do a practical joke with them where
that would be funny.
Where we pretend we bring something that looks like urine and we do, like, a whole thing, like, on their computer. I want to know how many dates we can have with our friends and pee on something of theirs and still keep the friendship going. Like, where will they finally say straight out, we don't want to be your friends anymore. Every time it ends on Elfman pee.
Oh my God.
Okay, so that was kind of a fucked up. We canceled the podcast because I was really annoyed. She was really annoyed, and the fight did not go good. And then
he had been riding my jock all week. I did like a major family thing. Like I was doing a major project, like 14, 16-hour days, like heavy work. He's like, can you make me a decaf? I'm like, yeah. I make him a decaf. I put the coconut milk in it that he wants. I didn't heat up the coconut milk, so I thought that might fuck it up.
That sounds just so effeminate, and I just sound
And his new little hipster coconut milk he found and decaf.
And I bring it up, and he's at his desk, and he's like, takes a sip. He's like, it's cold.
She brought me.
Fuck you, motherfucker, and your fucking goddamn fucking judgment.
She brings me coffee, and it's barely lukewarm because she made the decaf and then poured in the coconut milk, and it made it cold.
If I had heated up if I had microwaved it and fucked up a coconut, you'd be like,
why would you microwave the coconut milk? Do what I do. You take the coconut milk, you warm it up a little bit
in a pan.
So when you pour it in the coffee, your coffee's.
Who wants better things to do than warm coconut milk?
Who wants lukewarm coffee? I thought to myself, well, fuck it, I'll make it myself. I'm going to get a lukewarm decaf coffee with coconut milk. I'll make it myself. Is it so much to ask for a warm decaf coffee with coconut milk? Is it so much to ask? I don't think anyone's going to be on my side on this. Is anyone on my side?
Let me tell you something. Here's what's wrong with it.
It was lukewarm.
I don't think your mom ever taught you if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all.
My mom didn't teach me fucking anything.
Okay. I want to tell you something.
Yes.
You know when we're in creative meetings and I'm constantly banging your knee under the table or having to no, that's not. And then you get all like, how come it's always your way? And I never get my opinion and my universe gets all subordinated by your universe.
Yes.
I had a giant revelation.
About an outpoint of mine? I can't wait to hear it. Oh, I'm so excited. Hang on.
No, let me tell you something.
Oh, yeah. I'll put the mic down for it.
There is like a common agreed upon flow of life. Okay? There's sort of common manners, common ways, a sort of usual way of determining next steps on things and stuff. So there's certain agreed upon rules, right? It doesn't mean you have to follow them. Your problem is you break the rules and you don't even know them. You have to know the rules first, and then you can selectively and cleverly break the fucking rules. You try to break the rules, but you don't even know what the fucking rules are. So then it makes people look at you and go, I guess. Because you're not in the traditional vibe and flow of humanity. You're like, why don't we do this? This is a great idea. And it's like, yeah, but no one's going to go that way because that's not how everyone's agreed it goes. You have to know what the rules are so that you know what everyone's jiving to. You have to know what the dance steps are, and then you can kind of put your flair on it and break the rules, but you don't know what the rules are.
Drops mic. I see your point. Mm-hmm. I see your point. Know the rules, then break them. Okay.
I thought, I was like, like a halo explosion of light burst out of the back of my head when I realized that.
You need to have a talk show. There needs to be a talk show. Jenna. Just Jenna with a big, bright, shiny sun. Cut to just Jenna at people's houses cleaning up pee.
Your whole thing is you protest tradition. You protest agreeing with the common vibe. But the thing is, it's fine to protest that, but you have to understand what it is, and you have to be willing to be it and live that way before you can violate it.
Yeah, you just said that.
I'm reiterating.
Okay. All right.
Because you're looking at me with suspicion, and that makes me think that I need to reiterate.
No. Do I get a retort?
Totally.
Okay. Not about that. But do I get it?
Yeah, go ahead. Hit me with your best shot.
Is it better to should we just end it on that? Let's end it there. Just on...
No, because you're going to walk away with this whole unexpressed
thing. So
ahead,
I would say that on the other side of that, what are you looking at? It's connected.
Okay.
You got to be able to know that you can't always have the viewpoint of something shocking just happened. Like,
what do you mean?
Like in life, you can't have this I don't even know what's happening. Like, you're calling me the kid peed, the dog peed, this is all just happening because of things that are happening in life. I don't even, you always have this sort of I was so innocent. I'm just floating through the universe in this innocent little angel wing behind me, and all of a sudden, everyone's all mad at me because I accidentally burned their house down. So there's a little bit of because I agree. I agree with you.
I'm trying to maintain my element of surprise and awe in life. I
You're
like
amazing.
that. Yeah, no, let me think about that. I like that.
Because I like your idea of like gotta know
It's like
the
I
rules.
do shit and then I pretend like I don't get why it's happening.
This is all just happening to me. I'm so odd.
Like I'm just daunted by what's going on.
I smacked you in the face. It broke your jaw, but I didn't mean to. I didn't even know that you were there. It's not like
I didn't know my own strength.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like a shock and awe. Like you're like, I didn't.
It just keeps me from getting bored. That's all.
Okay, good.
I'm trying to stay surprised.
I thought my oppressive nature would be enough from you to be bored. Like I thought just 25 years of
oppression does not bring about boredom,
that's what
motherfucker.
That's what I'm saying. It would be enough. Like I thought 25 years of being married to a fucking asshole should be enough to keep it so you're not bored.
Oh, I see.
That should be enough.
That's not pleasurably not bored.
Well, that should keep you on your toes. You should be on your toes. Shouldn't be so
my
surprised.
adrenals run out because I'm like under so much stress and my like sanity is under threat that I have no more adrenal function.
All fair. All valid.